Looks like we're getting full, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. There are sign-in sheets in the back, just if you wanted to give a public statement. If you have one that you filled out, or if you change your mind, you can go ahead and just walk over and hand that to me, or I'll call for anyone else who has not already given me one before we close this session. So, my name is Anita Garcia Velasco, and I'm a Deputy Attorney General with the State of California Department of Justice. The purpose of today's meeting is to receive comments on the proposed sale of Altavita Village. The asset purchase agreement is between Air Force Village West Incorporated, a California nonprofit public benefit corporation, and Senior Riverside Living Limited Partnership, a California limited partnership that is affiliated with Westmont Living Incorporated, a California for-profit corporation. As you can see here, we have a court reporter who will be preparing a transcript of today's meeting. Use of a court reporter is necessary to ensure that we have a complete record of what everyone has to say. There are a few rules that must be followed when a court reporter is used. Before speaking, please state and spell your last name for the court reporter. Each speaker must speak audibly and not too fast so the court reporter can record what you say. Also, the court reporter can only record one speaker at a time, so it's not helpful if more than one person talks. If you have prepared comments written down, you can go ahead and provide the court reporter with a copy when you're done. The service area and patients for this facility include a Spanish-speaking population, so we have arranged for a Spanish translator. That's him right there. So if anyone needs his services, just go ahead and let us know and he'll come over. I've also prepared sign-in sheets for anyone who would like to speak. Once you fill it out, you can go ahead and hand it to someone at the back to bring up to me. I already have some here. We have allowed on the form for the ability to remain anonymous by having you provide a different name. If there's something you're unable to say here in this public setting, but that you'd like for the Attorney General to know, you can submit any further comments to my colleague, Deputy Attorney General Wendy Horowitz, by noon tomorrow. I'm going to read out her email address, but I have it and I can write it down for anyone who needs it at the end of the meeting, or give you my card. Her email address is Wendy, W-E-N-D-I .Horwitz, H-O-R-W-I-T-Z @doj.ca.gov. Her mailing address is 300 South Spring Street, Suite 1702, and her fax number is 213-897-7605. Next, I would like to discuss the Attorney General's role in reviewing this transaction. Under Corporations Code 5920, Air Force Village West Incorporated submitted a written notice and request for the Attorney General's approval of the sale of Altavita Village. The main agreement governing the proposed transaction is the Asset Purchase Agreement. Some of the key terms of the definitive agreement are: 1. Air Force Village West Incorporated sell substantially all of its assets to Senior Riverside Living, LP, a California limited partnership, which is affiliated with Westmont Living Incorporated, a California for-profit corporation, for $58 million plus undefined entrance fee obligation of $2.3 million. 2. Any unamortized entry fee obligations will be paid back when the transaction closes. The residents will enter into replacement residency agreements at similar rates following the transaction closing and receive priority placement. 3. The buyer agrees to maintain 4 levels of care: independent living, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing. The buyer will assume the accrued vacation, sick, and personal holiday pay for all employees it hires after the transaction closes and receive a credit against the purchase price. 5. The buyer will enter into a lease agreement with BVHC LLC to operate the Air Force Village Health Center, a 59 licensed bed skilled nursing facility that accepts both Medi-Cal and Medicare. By statute, the Attorney General must review and consent to any transfer of control, governance, or ownership of a general acute care hospital from a nonprofit corporation to a nonprofit corporation or entity. The Attorney General has 3 options for acting upon this notice: approve, disapprove, or approve with conditions. The Attorney General is required by law to consider a number of issues before deciding among these options. These issues range from technical legal matters to the broad questions of whether the transaction is in the public interest. First, we will have a brief presentation from a representative of Air Force Village West and Westmont Living Incorporated. And then I will call people forward who have completed the sign-in sheet today. When I call you, please come to the podium and again state your name and spell your last name or your alternative name for the court reporter. Mary, do you want to come up first?
Good morning. As you may know, I am Mary Carruthers. Let's put our glasses on and we'll get through this. Chair of the Board of Directors of Altavita Village. The Board of Directors believes that the sale of Altavita to Senior Living Riverside presents the best opportunity to maximize the value of Altavita's assets for all interested parties and to protect the care and well-being of the residents. The decision to pursue the sale with Senior Living Riverside was based on a combination of challenges facing Altavita Village, including the downsizing of March Air Force Base, the impact of the recession on occupancy, a payment default in 2017, the receivership action, prolonged sales efforts, and ongoing financial distress. Before the filing of the bankruptcy case, Altavita Village worked with various professionals over several years to market the property and explore a range of strategic financing and sale options for Altavita's business. While prospective buyers expressed interest in the sales process prior to and during the receivership, the parties were unable to reach an agreement to effectuate a transaction. Moreover, Altavita Village's lenders would no longer provide financing outside a Chapter 11 proceeding. After careful evaluation, the Board of Directors decided to file bankruptcy relief and determined that an expedited free and clear sale of Altavita Village's business through a Chapter 11 proceeding would best preserve the underlying value of its operations and maximize the value of its assets for the benefit of the residents, creditors, and other stakeholders. The Board of Directors determined that the sale of the assets by public auction enabled Altavita Village to obtain the highest and best offer for its assets. The Board of Directors believes that the sale of Altavita Village's assets to Senior Living Riverside is fair, reasonable, and necessary. Currently, the debt in possession financing matures on September 9th, 2019, and it is a default if the sale does not close on or before September 4th, 2019. If the sale is not approved, Altavita Village lenders can refuse to continue to fund, and the facility may have to close, causing harm to the residents. Ultimately, the Board of Directors of Altavita Village decided that it was in the best interest of Altavita Village, the residents, and the creditors to file for Chapter 11 relief and sell Altavita Village's assets through a court-appointed auction process under the Bankruptcy Code. I, on behalf of the Board, respectfully request that the Attorney General approve the transaction by no later than August 30th, 2019, and not impose any conditions that are contrary to the asset purchase agreement, the sale order, and the Bankruptcy Code. Thank you.
Hi. Andrew Plant, West Montville. Hi there. Just really want to thank all the residents for participating in the meetings that have been going on the last few weeks. We've appreciated getting input on dining, on care, on maintenance, and just the overall operations. It's been very valuable for us to get that input. The other thing I wanted to bring up is next week, starting on Wednesday, we're going to be having meetings 3 times a day on the residency agreements, so that we can get all of you informed with our contracts moving forward.
Can't hear you.
Okay, we're going to start meetings this Wednesday on the residency agreements, and they'll be occurring 3 times a day, and there's going to be sign-ups at the front desk for those meetings. The other thing is Gary March is the attorney for the bankruptcy. He wanted me to say that we're ready, willing, and able to perform, and we're excited about being a part of the Altavita Village community moving forward, and we're looking forward to being a part of it. Thank you.
Sarah Chen?
I've met many of you. I'm Sarah.
You have to put it up to your mouth.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I'm Sarah Chenez from law firm of Perkins Coie, counsel to the official committee of unsecured creditors in the Chapter 11 bankruptcy case. So I think people know the committee has been very active through the bankruptcy case and the sale process. All the committee members are residents. I think a lot of other residents have been in touch with the committee about events along the way. The committee looked hard at options, sale and otherwise, that might be in the best interest of residents. And after going through various options and looking at the sale that was proposed, the committee concluded the sale was the best option for residents available under the circumstances. There were practical options to keep Altavita open and functioning. There was some risk of it perhaps not being able to stay open without a sale. And so the committee has worked and continues to work with Air Force Village West and the board and the receiver to try to facilitate a smooth transition and continuing much of what people have enjoyed here. And for those reasons, the committee concluded to, after we negotiated certain terms, to support the bankruptcy court's approval of the sale, and the committee as well hopes that the Attorney General approve the sale. consistent with bankruptcy court's order. Thank you.
Karen Weir?
Carolyn Weir, W-E-I-R. Good morning. I think everybody here knows that I'm Carolyn Weir, also from the Committee of Unsecured Creditors, and we are requesting that the Attorney General approve the sale of Altavita to Senior Living Riverside, also known as Westmont Senior Living. The committee originally had hoped to maintain our CCRC status, but when we realized there was no viable way to do so, we supported the purchase by an organization that was committed to maintain our current 4 levels of care. One of the major tasks of the committee was to ensure that those residents who were still due refunds of their unamortized contracts and residents with 50% and 95% refundable contracts received the money owed them in full. We're happy that under the terms of the management and ownership transfer, all those residents will be fully refunded. This includes residents who died before receiving the refunds due them, and also those residents who left with entrance refunds due them. We'd hope to somehow save the discounts that residents' contracts provided if they needed to move to higher levels of care. On careful study of the contracts, we learned that there was a clause allowing management with 60 days notice to reduce or eliminate those contracts. This clause greatly reduced the tangible value of all of our contracts. Thanks to the state's lien on our vacant land, there will hopefully be some money remaining after all residents who are due refunds and some vendor claims are paid. The committee is currently working with the Attorney General and studying ways to use or disperse these funds for the continuing benefit of currently contracted residents. And finally, most of you probably know that Bill and I are no longer residents, and I'm pleased to announce that Joe Crosby is the new chair of the committee. I will be staying on because I want to see this through to the end for the benefit of the committee, but we're pleased to have Joe taking over as a voice here.
Kirsten Hatch?
Just put it close to your mouth.
Is it on? Yeah. Okay, great. It's nice to see all of you. I've been seeing you over the past 5 years, as long as we have been involved in what was once Air Force Village West, is now Altavita. I can tell you that we also, as lenders, worked very hard to try to find the best new owner, manager of your facility, and we're very pleased to have worked with the board and the brokers involved to source Westmont Senior Living. We've also worked very hard with your hard negotiating committee and are pleased that we have come to a mutually acceptable term with regards to this sale. We really want to see this continue as a thriving community. You have a gorgeous community and a wonderful populace here, and I'm very excited that this is going through as it is. We encourage the Attorney General to approve the sale and to put this time behind this wonderful community. Thank you.
Ed Sagmeister?
Good morning. Good morning. John, am I on? Good morning and welcome to the village. The AG's offer of anonymity, I'm afraid, is the horses out of the barn. I've been a resident here for 14 and a half years. Most people know who I am. Mr. Plant and Westmont staff are on my prayer list. Sagmeister, S-A-G-M-E-I-S-T-E-R. My main question, were I to have gone first and were you not able to read what you read, would have been, please explain the role of the AG in this process. Because having attended all of the court proceedings by video in Riverside, I was very concerned when Mr. Kang of your office, who I thought did an extraordinary job of presenting our concerns, was was told by the judge, as I understood it, my role is to get a deal. Your role is to approve it or disapprove it. There was no particular mention, I recall the words used in your statement, of approved with conditions. That being the case, I presume all the comments have been made. You've looked at all those potential options and your procedure will be done. I still, having reviewed the 3-inch binder of supplemental material that AFVW was required to present, with years of board minutes, with all kinds of declarations by Westmont Living, where was the AG for the years when we were in decline? And so while many parties have been made whole, Lapis, AFVW Inc., people with contracts, there is still a significant number of people who have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to come to this facility, and while they're prepared for change, the whole lifestyle and independent living units are of still concern. So I will not go into any more detail. You pretty much explained what the AG role is, and thank you for your presence today.
Janice Kennison?
Thank you for being here. Thank you for all you're doing. You pretty much answered the questions that I had written down, but welcome, Westmont.
Margarita Morrison?
No, my name is Margarita Morrison, M-O-R-R-I-S-O-N. I have been a resident for 6 years of Altavita. I paid an entry fee of $275,000 because this guaranteed me discounted health services for the rest of my life. At the time, I was told 40% discount. I felt with the discount and my resources, I have planned successfully for my expenses to the end of my life. In my case, I have no family that can take up the slack. While Westmont seems to be a good company, and I for one hope they do take us over, the terms of this sale do not give coverage to those of us in my same predicament. We are faced with the same future costs that we would have anywhere else, and our large entry fees were spent for nothing and are lost to us. The lenders, meanwhile, get paid what they were owed. Your lawyers for the unsecured creditors did not address this issue at all, as far as I can tell. I feel the sale is, I feel the sale as is should not be approved unless a satisfactory compensation can be found for those of us in my situation. On the side, I heard one resident in my situation say the other.
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I heard one resident say.
Your face.
You can't hear me? Maybe I shouldn't say this. I heard one resident in my situation say that the only solution he has at this point is a bullet through the head. I hope we don't get to that point. Thank you.
Denise Whitson? Mardal?
Good morning. The name is Mardal, M-A-R-D-A-H-L, resident. I request the district attorney to make sure that the promises, big promises, are delivered before she signs off. Thank you very much.
Jack Kenton?
Jack Kenton, that's Kilo Echo November, Tango Oscar November. You asked for comments, and my comments are, I'm not a lawyer and don't understand all of that aspect, but we came in here and we're told, among other things, that some of the taxes we pay to California have a Department of Social Services and your Attorney General office that are supposed to look after organizations like ours. And my question really is, if this is how you look after places and we go bankrupt and there's like no other choice, you're not doing a good job. And I think where we are now is about as good as we're going to get. But we had expected that we were just going to move in here and live here until we die with all these services. And now it's all kind of, okay, they're there, but are they there, and how much has changed? And we're not really sure. Thank you.
That's all the sign-ups I have. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Up there, or you can hear me?
Oh, no, you have to come up here. I think that...
Oh, my name is Shirley Erskine. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I moved in here over a year ago, so I'm fairly new to all this. Oh, Erskine. And my sister's Carol Euchre, so you all know where I stand. When I got a little pamphlet that's four-sided, asked a lot of questions from Westmont, who my best friend is, how long have I lived here, where's the most exciting place I live. Those were kind of inquisitive, I thought. Yet when I went to the meetings with Westmont, they didn't answer anything. They will listen to what you say, but they don't make any comments, and we're still in the same boat. We don't know. We don't know what our rent's going to be, what services we're going to have to pay for. I think those things should be answered right now. And I'm sure Westmont knows. These companies don't go in and buy companies as big as this without a very good basic understanding of what the fees will be. So, Attorney General, please look into that for us. Thank you.
And just make sure to spell your name for the court reporter.
My name is Frank Drake, D-R-A-K-E. I've been a long-time resident of Air Force Village West. In fact, we came here in 2002. At the time we came here, we thought we had reached a safe harbor for life. And we had also been given guarantees that we would be given care throughout all the phases that we were about to pass. As it stands right now, at a time when I and my wife are getting close to the point where we're going to need help, we find that we are no longer going to be afforded any kind of discounts, any kind of support, or anything other than that. I wrote a letter to Ms. Horwitz, and I'd like to know whether you received it or not.
I don't know, but I would be happy to take a copy back with me.
All right, I'll be glad to give it to you. In it, I explained where our position was, and I hope that you will be able to do something to make at least an equitable arrangement for those of us who have contracts that were 0% returns, because we were afforded and assured that we were going to get a great deal of support that we're going to lose at this period of time. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
I didn't write anything down,
No.
but I'll try to do my best. My name is Aaron W. Smith, Jr. That's A-A-R-O-N. Last name Smith, S-M-I-T-H. Jr. is August. The middle initials are William, so I don't use that too often because that's BS, and I don't like to be associated with those letters. The wife and I came here about coming up on 5 years ago. I hesitated myself to come here because that big check that I wrote, I'm still getting over it. And now it means nothing, and I don't like that. I would like the Attorney General to look into whether we can get some kind of benefit. Because when I say goodbye to equity, because my house was paid for when I came here. And I thought when I gave up all of that, I would be safe until I go over there to that cemetery. And now things are changing.
just hope you will consider all of that before you sign off on this transaction, because right now, it seems like to me, for a for-profit organization, I always have a little crazy feeling about anything for-profit, because sometimes profit is a high priority over service, and that kind of bothers me also. I hope I've made myself clear. I'd like you to look into whether we can get some kind of benefit for that big check that I wrote that's gone goodbye.
My name is Pat Sweeney, S-W-E-E-N-E-Y, and I'm a resident here for 3 years. I've attended all of the proceedings, the court proceedings in Santa Ana, as well as the video at Riverside. And one concern I have is that I heard very clearly through the court proceedings that there was the expectation of the judge that Westmont was expected to answer a whole series of questions that had been provided to them by the creditors committee and Ms. Kennedy. And he said very clearly that that would happen. My concern is that next week or this week we're supposed to be starting into signing residency agreements, and yet to my knowledge there has been no answer to any of those questions. Westmont had listening sessions where we were to listen to them. They've gone to the committees where they listened to us. My understanding is that they did not answer any questions at any of those sessions, and said that they were looking into these things, they would get back to us. My concern is the time is long past for them to have some sense of what their answers are to all the concerns that have been raised by the residents. They received a substantial number of cards from the residents expressing those concerns in writing. To my knowledge, we have not received any answers to those, and yet we're expected to sign up residency agreements, and without even knowing what the prices are we're going to have to pay, or what services we're losing, such as the cafe, such as the health clinic, things that are mostly rumors, but could be dispelled by Westmont very easily by saying what they intend to do. They should be answering what they intend to do before we are required to sign on the bottom line of what we're being asked to agree to their contract. So I have a great deal of difficulty understanding how they can remain silent and not answer questions as they have done thus far, and then expect us to simply sign away another contract without fully knowing what we're getting into. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before anyone else comes up, I would just like to clarify and have Mr. Marsh clarify the signing of agreements. The Attorney General has not approved the sale yet. So until that happens, there cannot be any new agreements. But I'll go ahead and let Mr. Marsh explain.
Gary Marsh. I'm a lawyer with Denton's U.S. LLP, and I've been representing Altavita Village along with some of my other colleagues in the bankruptcy proceeding. We have pending a motion to reject all contracts effective as of a closing date. The hearing on that is scheduled for August 27th. That motion, if granted, would not go into effect until if and when there was an actual closing. As Anita said, I think this week the meetings with Westmont are to review their contracts so you understand the terms of them, not to sign them. And they expressly say that they're not effective until the closing, and they're not effective until regulatory approval is obtained, which is primarily from the Attorney General and from the Department of Social Services, who would issue Westmont a license, basically an RCFE license. With respect to the rental rates, because I know that issue well, there's an exhibit to the APA that spells out exactly what the rental rates are. That's been on file with the court for months. It's available here at the facility. Those are the rates that Westmont's told me they intend on charging for different thing. So when you say you don't know what the rates are there in black and white. They're an exhibit to the APA. They're an exhibit to the asset purchase agreement. They're in the notebooks that are here. I'll show you where it is after the meeting if you want. They've been here for a long time. Sarah Chenett has them. You can send those to every resident. They are here. But you can get a copy of those from Westmont. You know, the other thing I mentioned, just so you know, and it's not your primary concern, but the lenders, and Kirsten could give me the number, but it's somewhere around $20 million they're losing. So this transaction is not great for the lenders. They've invested a tremendous amount of money during the receivership and the bankruptcy, and they're not getting that money back. It's gone. So they made a loan that is not turning out well at all for the lenders. And the exact number I could calculate, but I know it's in the $20 million range. So I wouldn't think the lenders are making out like bandits here. You know, this is a tough situation for everyone.
Is there anyone else who'd like to give comments?
My name is Tim Hannigan, Hanigan. I'm a member of the credit committee. I've heard that Westmont is grandfathering in what we're paying now for 1 year. Is that correct?
We have agreed to maintain the current rates.
From September to September of next year?
It wasn't defined in terms of specific dates, but we've agreed to maintain the current rates.
Okay, thank you.
GAVITT. My husband and I made a substantial payment almost 5 years ago and have been faithfully paying our monthly dues. We are expected to live here for the rest of our lives in peace and with the assurance that everything that was presented as our benefits would be secure and without cause for undue stress. My husband, Bill Gavitt, passed away in March of 2018. While he was in a deteriorating state, and now with his passing, I have had to endure this process of my home and expected stability being subjected to various possibilities of loss. When we signed our contract and paid our life savings, we were assured that the commitment that was made to us would be concrete. As everyone in Altavita Village is a senior citizen, we are one of the most vulnerable groups of America's population. I am in high hopes that we will be taken care of as such. I expect that the new owners of Altavita will honor our contract. When my husband needed more care than I could provide, he spent one night in the nursing care facility. The workers were all very nice, but it seemed terribly understaffed. It was also unclean. The carpets, beds, bedding, and furnishings are very old, and it was much less than you would want your family member to be in. Our family had him moved into our home and we paid 24/7 nursing care. This was a tremendous financial burden. We had been assured that if this case were ever to present itself, we would be well taken care of in a clean, efficient, and well-staffed facility. We were assured and felt confident that we would be well taken care of. This was not the case. As a citizen of the United States, a Californian, and a resident of Altavita Village, I expect to be treated fairly and my contract and financial promise to be honored. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak?
I wanted to make Mardall, Jerome, resident. Sorry. I wanted to add, I heard today somebody mention that there are no alternative solutions to our dilemma. I disagreed with that in the beginning. I made it known. I know it's on file already, but I wanted to emphasize that one more time. Thank you.
My name is Lois Bushinger, WURSTHINGER. when you say that our monthly fee will be the same, probably, our monthly fee includes a medical portion. Every year at tax time, we have a major medical deduction for that, and we would like for that to be considered and approved, because that really counts a lot.
I know that wasn't a motion, but I second that, what she said, and I fall into that category also, because like many people, we make our monthly payment on time, and there's no consideration, as far as I can see, that we can file bankruptcy like the organization did. Is that possible? I wonder, can we in some way, shape, or form get some benefit out of that big check that we wrote that we said goodbye to? And if you can look into that and give us some feedback on how we can manage that. And that deduction that she mentioned, that was a great help. I'd like to see that continue.
Hi, on behalf of Westmont, just wanted to answer a few questions. First of all,
I'm sorry, can you say your name again for the record?
Andy Plant. The medical deduction, we're not in a position to offer that deduction, to write a letter to you regarding that. You're going to have to go to your accountant and each year get that letter from them. Unfortunately, that's not something that we're able to produce. With respect to the cafe and the clinic, our intentions are to maintain those services. We're in the process of contracting with a company that will maintain the clinic services, which is home care, home health, and hospice services. With respect to the cafe, we're intending to maintain the cafe moving forward. So our goal is to maintain services on the community and campus.
We're agreed.
But if someone else would like to give comment, go ahead and come up and raise your hand.
My name is Ron Engelbertson, E-N-G-L-E-B-R-E-T-S-O-N. Resident for a little over 5 years. Mr. Plant, you said we need to go to our accountant to get information on that. And who are you referring to when you say accountant?
What I'm referring to is we have seen residents receive letters where they're receiving services, healthcare services, and they can write off that expense. And so related to that, we're not able to give tax advice. That would be something that you'd have to get from your tax consultant, sharing your information with them. But we're not able to produce that letter that Eschaton produced in the past, saying that you get a $13,000 a year write-off.
Okay, you didn't mean accountant, you meant CPA. Go to our tax CPA.
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
I'm Shirley Hurst, E-R-S-K-I-N-E. If you're not going to service us with any medical facilities, are you going to reduce our rate? Because part of our rent is our medical every month. Part of that, when you break it down, is the medical. Are you going to say you're going to reduce our rent that much, Mr. Plant?
Again, we're intending to maintain the services on the campus that you have today, but we're not in a position where we can write that letter related to
I'm not asking you about the letter. I'm asking you about our rent every month. If you're going to continue at the same amount, part of what we pay now every month is for medical. Are you going to reduce our payment, what we're paying in medical now, or are you going to absorb that as part of your profit? How are you going to work that?
The rents are going to be similar to what they are today moving
You haven't answered my question.
Yes, he did.
What health care are you referring to if you're living in the home? Like, the clinic's going to be maintained if you want.
I'm referring to the monthly.
Please use the mic. Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
referring to the monthly amount we pay every month, and a part of that, when it's broken down, is part of our medical. We pay so much a month into the medical fund as a nonprofit. Are you going to keep that amount, or are you going to reduce our rent that much?
We're not reducing the rent, and we are maintaining the services on the campus, whether it's assisted living, skilled nursing, or like the clinic operation.
You're not answering my questions, yes or no. Are you going to give us our money back for that, or are you going to just continue?
We're not reducing the rents. That's
all right.
Not the intention.
I'm Don Lederer, Lederer. The question, I guess, was when we go from being a non-profit to being a profit facility, does that affect this ability to claim part of our expenses for tax purposes? I was told by someone that when we become profit for your organization, that changes our status, and therefore we cannot claim that. That's our first question.
This is a question for your CPAs, but my understanding is that qualified medical expenses are deductible. That's to be reviewed with your...
Whether profit or not profit.
Correct.
Okay. I guess the other thing I just wanted to say is, as a chaplain, I visit all 3 levels of care. And I just wanted you to know, and I guess the Attorney General, we have a good thing. We've been having a very good thing in terms of our morale and our relationship with staff. And I can't speak to the cleanliness of the skilled nursing, but my wife was there with a broken hip for a week, and she was beautifully treated. They're very creative in what they do there, even to once a month having a candlelight meal. I say this to you, Mr. Plant, because I ask you, I know we're only one of many facilities that you manage. As you look around and you see these people here, they're just faces to you. To us, they're family. And there is a very wonderful fabric of relationship we have. I say that also because I want your staff. You've got Davida here as a wonderful lady who's taking over as our director. But please, the morale that we have here is going to be your best sales for people coming in. Now, I know it's financially difficult for you to absorb some of these requests in terms of the reductions, the discounts that we receive. My wife and I have got long-term care through Northwestern Mutual. Before they understood that they really shouldn't give us such a very generous policy. I won't tell you how much each of us get each month. It would blow you away. For life. Okay, that can't be offered now. So we're not concerned, personally, about the amount of money that's charged for these 3 levels of care. What I am concerned about is that when my wife and I get ready to have those 3 levels of care, I hope that you and your organization will keep it as wonderful. And really, I know you want to, but please make it a goal that this would be your flagship, that this would be a place that we would all want to stay in. Because I'll tell you right now, everybody here would tell you this, there's nothing better here in Southern California than this place. And you're inheriting, you're taking over a wonderful facility. Thank you.
My name is Allison, A-L-L-I-S-O-N, first name's Tim. And Tim Hannigan asked a question, sir, as to rents, or do we have a year contract? Do we have a year contract now that is locked in at the same rate as it is today for 1 year from September to September? Is that our policy now with Westmont?
what I can say is our agreements are month-to-month agreements. We don't have any immediate plan for any change in the agreements moving forward, but we haven't committed to any specific date when they would be reevaluated.
Before anyone else comes up, I just want to remind you, this meeting is to provide comments to the Attorney General so that we can take all those comments into consideration. So I appreciate that you have a lot of questions for Mr. Plant, and I encourage you to ask those of him. But just remember to focus your comments to the Attorney General so that we can make a good decision whether or not to approve, disapprove, or approve with conditions.
My name is Ron Akers, A-K-E-R-S. I've lived here for over 17 years. And I was asked to have my committee, SSNM, Safety, Security, and Maintenance, to present the cards which were put in the little paper bags. We also picked up an extra group of the environmental services and attempted to read those. It was our understanding that we were going to present the cards, try to get rid of the duplications, announce the subjects of the issues that were brought up on these cards. And I was very disappointed because immediately, very quickly, the meeting was not our committee having a meeting and dealing with these items. It was taken over by Mr. Carnes, the appointed CEO. I guess she's been appointed, and she took over the meeting, offering excuses, maybe potential ways that these things could be solved, rather than just listening to the issues. We went through it so fast, trying to get through 60-some items in 1 hour, that we ended up finishing early. So I tried to strike an agreement with her that I challenged her and I gave her all of these cards. Some were written on plain sheets of paper with 10 items on them. Many of them have nothing to do with our committee. They had to do with administration, finance, and so forth. I don't know what happened to those. I challenged her to say, okay, I suggest you read every one of these cards and these letters very carefully. Then, if our committee can be of service, we will be of service. And I offer you, once you've done that, contact me and we'll set up a meeting with our committee and you and your staff, and we'll decide who's going to work on what. Because there were very numerous serious things like preventative maintenance. I'll just throw that one out. Thank you very much.
Sherry Ikazawa, I-K-E-Z-A-W-A. I wasn't going to say anything, but something that was said that needs to be addressed. First of all, I don't see that the Attorney General has any option but to, at this point, to approve the sale. The main thing is what I really am making a comment is please don't try to whitewash the board of directors and the lenders for where they have got us here. And I know it's too late, but I just do not want to see that they are going to be excused, that this is their last choice. Once we went into a stalking horse bankruptcy, there was not going to be any choice. Whoever came in that was going to be accepted was going to be the buyer if they had the funds. So what I'm saying is that basically we don't really have any choice. So the best thing, and I don't have anything against Westmont, and I hope to work with them as a resident and to make the place successful again. But I do not want here the whitewashing of board of directors' mistakes
and the lenders. I was in the finance committee for 12 years, and I know exactly what was going on the finance committee and the bondholders. And the bonds are not worth anything right now, so whatever they're getting paid is still pretty good.
Good morning. My name is Terry Nelson. I'm here as an advocate for my mother-in-law, June Fowler. My last name is N like Nancy, E-L-S-O-N, and my mother-in-law, June Fowler, last name F-O-W-L-E-R. I have many questions, and Ms. Garcia, you stated this is not the right time and place for me to ask many questions which are directed for Westmont. So maybe sometime today, maybe by the end of this week, Westmont can go ahead and schedule a meeting for all of us to ask our questions directly, and it would be nice to get direct answers and definite answers and more clear answers instead of taking over the meeting that is basically addressed for Ms. Garcia. Thank you.
My name is Denise Whitson, W-H-I-T-S-O-N. I'm the daughter of Dorothy Whitson, a resident. She's been here 2.5 years. And I'm peripheral to this process. I've heard my mother talk about the sale, the rumors, the anxiety that's created. It's a very complex process, and I suppose that know about the details of it. Only the Attorney General's here on behalf of advocating the seniors, and that's reassuring. My father and mother worked very hard all their life. My father had his own business and died years ago, but in order to provide for my mother that she would be safe. And I guess what I want to say, as representative of families, of all these fine individuals, the wealth of knowledge and experience represented here, as a family member, we were so pleased that my mother could come here and she would have this enriching environment to make new friends and to continue to stay active, her intellect and her sociability, and that would carry her with quality of life throughout the following years. And so we were very pleased to have her here, and we know how hard my dad worked so that she could be here. And I would just remind the Attorney General, and I apologize in advance, I don't mean to offend you in any way, but these are real lives, and these are our parents, and who we have no idea why this is emotional, why, we entrust that they have quality of life. And as you consider all of these things that I don't suppose to understand, keep in mind this is a human experience. These are our families. And I wonder if it occurs to me, if you do accept the sale with contingencies, because it is, my mother's 85, my brother who is her conservator is in Georgia, there will be questions, all kinds of technicalities. I wonder if the Attorney General would consider some kind of oversight or ombudsman where we could go, family members, my mother, to either explain or to help her through the process, or if she has complaints about the money, if she doesn't understand, if there's, and I'm sure that they'll be able to go to the organization too, but in terms of legality, that the Attorney General would consider or think that they have some kind of continued oversight or an ombudsman that they could ask questions or try to solve problems. That's just a suggestion. These are our parents, and they deserve your consideration. The very human experience with this. It's not just a big money deal. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to provide any public comments?
Stagmeister again, S-A-G-M-E-I-S-T-E-R. As I look around the audience, I see relatively few staff members. Coming through at the 4 meetings I attended, and coming through after 14 years here, I've become somewhat of a weather vane, not just for residents, but for staff. And I think pretty much everyone, if I asked for a show of hands, would say we could identify what percentage of the staff deserve to be seriously considered. I would just invite Westmont's attention to the fact that, our level of service needs to be maintained by good employees. Going in, we know we're going into an extensive interview process. Some of us have been requested to give references, some of us have. I would invite your attention to those, but be cognizant of the fact that there is that synergistic impact. I know you appreciate that, Mr. Plant, and I know what I've sensed working with your staff, that they appreciate it also. I just want to go on record for saying, I think I speak for all the residents, yes?
Was there anyone else who'd like to speak before we conclude? Was there anyone else who'd like to speak before we conclude?
This is my final comment.
I'm sorry, Mr. Christie, can you go ahead and say your name again
And I
for the reporter?
to Mr. Plant and also to the Attorney General. I hope we can
Can you just say your name once again?
Aaron Smith, A-A-R-O-N, the last name Smith, S-M-I-T-H. To the Attorney General, I hope we can contact you sometime in the future if need be. And for Mr. Plant, I hope your staff can attend our committee meetings if you can. Because we do have a lot of things to say, and I do believe we can help you as we get through this thing going forward. Endlessly.
Karen Finley, F-I-N-D-L-E-Y. If it's not approved, what happens?
I believe if it's not approved, there'll be consequences in the bankruptcy.
Like what?
And I can't answer to that. Are there any other public comments? Anyone else wanted to make a statement? Okay, well, this will conclude our public meeting. Any written comments that anyone wants to submit need to be received by noon tomorrow and addressed to Deputy Attorney General Wendy Horowitz. I'll read out her email address again, but anyone who wants to come and write it down or take down our fax number or our mailing address is welcome to. Her email address is Wendy, W-E-N-D-I Horowitz, H-O-R-W-I-T-Z at doj.ca.gov. And her mailing address is 300 South Spring Street, Suite 1702, Los Angeles, California, 90013, and her fax number is 213-897-7605. Thank you very much for your comments and for attending this meeting.